Shalom. I begin today with the second half of Psalms, Psalm 76. For the leader with instrumental music, a psalm of Asaph, a song. God has made himself known in Judah. His name is great in Israel. Salem became his abode, Zion his den. There he broke the fiery arrows of the bow, the shield and the sword of war, Selah. You were resplendent, glorious on the mountains of prey. The stout-hearted were despoiled. They were in a stupor. The bravest of men could not lift a hand. At your blast, O God of Jacob, horse and chariot lay stunned. O you are awesome. Who can withstand you when you are enraged? In heaven you pronounced sentence. The earth was numbed with fright, as God rose to execute judgment to deliver all the lowly of the earth, Selah. The fiercest of men shall acknowledge you when you gird on the last bit of fury. Make vows and pay them to the Lord your God. All who are around him shall bring tribute to the awesome one. He curbs the spirit of princes, inspires awe in the kings of the earth. This psalm has, as part of its theme, the idea of God's awesomeness. The Hebrew word norah, awesome, inspiring awe in all human beings. Another meaning of that word is terrible or fearsome or fearful, but the translators here choose to render that word as awesome. God inspires awe in the kings of the earth. The fiercest of men shall acknowledge you, God. Everyone is designed, hopefully, in the vision of the psalmist, to eventually understand and acknowledge and proclaim God's might and awesomeness. And also in this psalm, we have the theme of God as a warrior, as the ultimate warrior on high who does battles on behalf of God's people and on behalf of the lowly and the innocent and the downtrodden of the earth. This theme, of course, is not new in Psalms. It actually can even be found in the Torah, in the 5 books of Moses themselves. But the idea of God who establishes harmony in the heavens and we pray will bring peace on the earth, that image as a warrior God can be a little bit challenging and stimulating in a certain way. What does that mean? God as a warrior, as the ultimate military general. I think of the fact that in certain yoga practices and yoga poses, they are referred to as warrior poses. What does that mean? Well, I'm not an expert on yoga. I know a little bit about it, but I also know that the warrior poses, like so many others in yoga, are meant to help loosen up and stimulate the flow of power and energy within the human body and the human spirit. When we adapt a warrior pose in yoga positions, the idea is to unleash powers and forces of strength within us in order to help us become spiritually stronger and also physically stronger and more healthy. God as a warrior is not meant to cause us to imagine God as necessarily destructive, vindictive, wreaking harm and havoc and catastrophe on human beings. Instead, ironically, I think it is meant to really be an image that invokes the idea of peace, of shalom. If God has to do battle, it's in order to vanquish evil so that peace will reign on earth. If God has the image of one who breaks the fiery arrows of the bow, the shield and the sword of war, who is resplendent on mountains of prey, P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y, who despoils the stout-hearted, who stuns the horses and chariots of the enemy and of the wicked. This is simply an image meant to stir up within us hope and optimism and faith that God will always be on the side of the righteous, that God will always take the side of the downtrodden and the disenfranchised and the poor and the widows and orphans of our world. That is why God metaphorically does battle, in order to bring justice and peace to this dark and troubled world. And so too, we can think of ourselves as warriors, following the example of the warrior God. We are warriors who are here to do battle on a personal level against despair and against depression in our lives, against illness, against an attitude of hopelessness that may affect us and infect us during these troubled times. We have to do battle against pessimism. We have to be in a perpetual war to grasp and embrace faith and hope in our lives, and to help inspire similar themes within our families and within our communities. We are also here to do battle against injustice in our world, against racism, against wanton and baseless hatred that is lodged in the hearts of so many. We need to, through the force of persuasion and education and our own commitment and intellectual strength, we need to do battle against those dark forces. We also need to do battle against forces of totalitarianism, not only in the world, but within our own country, against those who would wish to hold on to the reins of a dictatorship type of government that would strip its citizens of the basic rights and freedoms that each and every American, by right, possesses. We need to do battle against those who would rob us of our basic freedoms. This is something that crosses political lines. It's not a matter of right wing or left wing. There are those on the left wing who accuse others of endangering our freedoms. There are those on the right wing who encourage it, who criticize opposing forces for robbing us and endangering our freedoms. It crosses political lines and it transcends partisan politics. Instead, anyone who would try to compromise basic democratic principles in our society, whether on the right or on the left, is a threat and a danger to our basic freedoms, and we need to do battle against those forces as well. And so the psalmist encourages us to follow God's ways, to take heart, to have faith and courage, and in our attitude of awe towards our Creator, translate and channel those feelings and those attitudes into a warrior-like attitude in our own lives and in our world to do battle against the dark forces of illness, of hate, of injustice, and of evil. Thank you.